Hey everyone, welcome to the show. A pro-free speech First Amendment group is suing the New York Times for $100,000 because they didn't like how the newspaper described them. I'm not kidding. Pro-free speech. They even have the words First Amendment in their name, and they've described the group as, quote, nonpartisan and as a, quote, civil liberties group. They claim to want to help everyone to have free speech. So this group is called First Amendment Praetorian. The word Praetorian apparently refers to the Imperial Guard members who provided security for Roman emperors. And the founder of the group is a man named Robert Lewis. He's a former Green Beret. He previously boasted that the group's members are, quote, military, law enforcement, and intelligence community veterans. In legal documents, the group has said that they offer, quote, pro bono security and protective services at grassroots events. But the lawsuit against the Times says that they were defamed by the paper when they were described as an, quote, extremist paramilitary group that played a central role in the storming of the Capitol on January 6, 2021. They also take issue with the Times' implication that First Amendment Praetorian group members were somehow involved in the Oath Keepers Quick Reaction Force in Virginia. So that, you guys might recall, that's where the Oath Keepers were keeping dozens, many dozens of weapons, and they were waiting for orders to attack. So let's take a look at the evidence and see if they actually have a claim. So first, in regard to this Oath Keepers Quick Reaction Force hotel room, I will say there is no evidence to show that this Praetorian group had knowledge of the QRF. And as you guys all know, I've covered each and every sentence and every arrest so far. To date, not a single member of this group has been charged with any kind of crimes related to the Capitol attack. However, many of the members of this group were staying at the same hotel as the Oath Keepers. And the group's leader said that he was in contact with the Oath Keepers founder, Elmer Stewart Rhodes, in the lead up to January 6th. So it's not completely out of the realm of possibility that they knew something, right? Maybe about what they were planning, maybe about the weapons, but it hasn't been proven yet. Next point. The group already admitted that their members are all former military and cops and so forth, like I said. So is it a stretch to say that they're a paramilitary group? And here's what's being reported about their activities surrounding January 6th. On the night of January 5th, Robert Lewis was introduced to a mob of Trump supporters. They were at that rally you guys probably know about. It was at Freedom Plaza in DC. In introducing Lewis, the host told the crowd, quote, you don't see him, you don't hear him, but know this, but when you guys are going back to your hotel tonight, they're the ones who are integrated into crowds keeping you safe. Them and the Proud Boys, the Oath Keepers, the 3%ers, all of those guys keep you safe. All of them. I'll stand with them because I'm tired of the left telling us we can't talk about them. So I just have to stop for a second because whoever told this woman that she or anyone else couldn't talk about these groups, for me, please keep talking about them, because it lets the sane part of the country know that the Republican Party has become infected with violent alt-right extremists. So please, yes, say it loud, speak into the mic, talk about them at will. Anyway, Lewis made his own damning comments at this pre-insurrection rally. According to Rolling Stone magazine, Lewis gets on stage and he invokes 1776, and then he said, quote, not far from here, General George Washington, in weather just like this, loaded up a ragtag group of soldiers who crossed the Delaware River. This is our Delaware. Then Lewis warned them of the, quote, enemy at the gates. And he added, quote, this is our time to make sure that we don't cede the country and have my kids grow up in a communist hellhole. I need each of you to fight as hard as you can to ensure that does not happen. And then Lewis also did so-called election security work for the likes of Ali Alexander, Mike Flynn, that type. And the January 6th Select Committee actually subpoenaed him, and in part because of his contact with Stewart Rhodes. The committee also noted in his subpoena that Lewis anticipated violence on January 6th because in a January 4th tweet, he wrote, quote, "There may be some young National Guard captains facing some very, very tough choices in the next 48 hours. Pray with every fiber of your being that their choices are wise, just, and fearless." And then on January 6th, as the Capitol was being attacked, Lewis tweeted, quote, "Today is the day the true battles begin." Then 2 hours later, the official Twitter account for First Amendment Praetorian tweeted out, quote, "The cost of truth is pain. The greater the truth, the greater potential for pain." Yeah, on that we can agree. That's why so many Trump supporters are in jail and in prison right now, because they were duped by Trump's election fraud fairy tale. Now they're experiencing the pain of the truth. Anyway, Lewis complied with the subpoena. He actually went before the Select Committee, but he refused to answer their questions. So he, of course, cited his Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination, which, what does that tell you? And Rolling Stone noted that this was the most telling non-answer from Lewis. He refused to answer when the committee asked him, quote, "Mr. Lewis, you've claimed to have driven Sidney Powell and Michael Flynn to the White House on December 18th, 2020. Were you involved in discussions with the White House regarding efforts to overturn the election?" So yeah, he refused to answer that question. Other witnesses didn't hold back, though. There was a Tea Party organizer named Dustin Stockton. He told the committee that Lewis's group was working in a suite at the Willard Hotel on the night of January 5th of 2021, so night before the insurrection. And he said that the room had a, quote, "very military feel. There were maps and what looked like military type comms with people on the computers and earpiece." And several Oath Keepers members told the committee that Lewis's group was involved in, quote, "orchestrating Stop the Steal rallies prior to January 6th. And they've also said some of the group's members dined with the Oath Keepers founder following the Capitol attack. So on the night of January 6th, and then they discussed what took place that day. So he didn't go, the head of this group, Lewis, wasn't there, but other members of his group were with the Oath Keepers that night. And at the heart of this lawsuit, though, is Lewis's claim that he is, quote, "virtually unemployable." He's blaming the New York Times for this. He alleges that he and his group are now, quote, "toxic in the political world," and that the group is now insolvent and destroyed. But here's the thing. Lewis has claimed from the beginning that his group is nonpartisan. Yet he spews out all of this alt-right extremist bullshit. You know, as the Rolling Stone pointed out in their article, when Lewis launched the group, which was in 2020, like not too long before the election, he announced that the group's formation was the result of, quote, "Marxist and leftist politicians aiming to lock down total control." And then Lewis also tweeted out just your typical right-wing talking points about BLM, Antifa, you know, because I guess their First Amendment rights don't matter. And then in November of 2020, Lewis made a video and he told his viewers, quote, "Go to DC this weekend and participate in the Million MAGA March." He also said, quote, "This is the time when every man and woman needs to choose a side." And then in another December 2020 video, he referred to Donald Trump and Mike Flynn as his heroes. And then he talked about making America great again. And he, of course, spouted out election fraud nonsense. And he said, quote, Our republic is allowed to be destroyed from within. That's something we're not going to allow sitting down. Yeah, but it's a nonpartisan free speech group, you guys. And his rhetoric continued after January 6th as well. There was a May 30th video, May 30th of 2021. Lewis posted a video where he called for a second American Revolution. And he claimed that he didn't want to be violent. I don't know how that happens with a revolution, but he said that, quote, it's either going to be total annihilation and we're going to let this country fall and our kids will never know freedom, or you take part in the revolution and we all band together and we all do what has to be done. He also said, quote, there's a lot of people that say they'll arrest whoever goes first. But then he added, quote, if we're all together, there aren't enough jail cells in the country. Okay. Yeah. Nonviolent, totally peaceful, but yeah, anticipating they're all going to go to jail. So we're going to see what happens with this, but I think Lewis's own words are going to come back to bite him. I mean, you're out there spewing all of this rhetoric about war, about revolution, about taking the country back, about being strong, and it clearly partisan. And you admit that your members are ex-military, ex-cops, what have you. And then you're hanging out with these other extremist groups. I don't know. I don't know how he's going to prove his case, but we'll see. So I'll keep you guys posted. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Please like, share, and subscribe. Please donate if you can, even if it's one time or once monthly. Truly helps to keep the show going. So thank you all again. Take care, and I'll talk with you soon.